Another interesting development here. So Democrats starting to look towards 2022, wanting to hold on to control of the House, control of the Senate, which is obviously as narrow as it could possibly be. And what they are finding is that a lot of Democrats in more rural areas in particular and more Republican-leaning areas are doing their darndest to distance themselves from the terrible, terrible, toxic Democratic Party brand. Something I've been talking about for a very long time. For years now, it has been incredibly effective just to throw Nancy Pelosi in an ad.
Basically since, what, 2010,
Since
right?
At least since 2010. Just throw Nancy Pelosi in an ad, run it against any candidate, tie them to the National Democratic Party, and you're done. And what's interesting here is they point out, and I think this is true, that a lot of the policies of the Democratic Party on economics in particular at this point, very popular, right? We saw in 2020, minimum wage, $15 minimum wage, passing easily in Florida at the same time the Democrats lose. To me, that's like the perfect instance of the distance between the terrible brand, which is filled with like contempt and condescension for most of the country, and some of the policies which are popular. I think the antitrust executive orders that Biden just passed, very popular.
That's why Chuck Grassley backed it.
That's exactly right. Chuck Grassley and some other Republicans in the Farm Bureau, these are conservative groups, they got behind it. These are popular policies. I'm talking today in my monologue about the child tax credit, also extraordinarily popular across partisan divides. However, just to like spoiler alert here, this never works. Like trying to distance yourself from the very party that you're running in, it literally never works. I saw it when I was running for Congress in 2010. A lot of people were trying this game of saying, this Barack Obama guy, I don't know about him, and I'm different from all of these other people. I'm not like these other Democrats. There was a time in American politics where that was effective, where you could be a Kentucky Democrat or you could be a Ohio Democrat or whatever it is. That time has passed. All politics is national now. So if you don't like the Democratic Party brand, do something to change it. But you have no choice but to be married to these people, and the voters are very much going to see it that way.
I think that's the sad thing. And just to give you an idea of like where some real fear is, the Free Beacon actually wrote this story. Let's put it up there on the screen, which shows that a majority of Americans, this is according to Trafalgar, which, you know, a year ago would have said it was a joke, but they actually were some of the most accurate of 2020. So there you go. Majority of Americans are not confident that Kamala Harris is ready for the presidency. And what we really do see within that is that normally vice presidential approvals will generally go kind of up because they don't really do anything. They're not really present before the public. Al Gore was just seen, like, okay, you know, I don't mind Al Gore. Joe Biden, I mean, that's what made him popular in America. Before that, he had no public profile. But with Kamala Harris, it's pretty bad. I mean, it just says that the majority of Democratic respondents even will view her favorably, but it's still split. 43% of Democrats polled there said that they lack confidence in Harris. And generally what you're seeing with, you know, generally what you're seeing here is that the lack of confidence, and we're using this as a proxy for political talent, is, you know, Tim Ryan, whose ad we're about to show you, he's running for Senate in Ohio. They talk here about a Montana Democrat who is trying to shirk off, you know, the national profile. You're always going to have Kamala Harris around your neck. And that's really, I think, a big problem, especially if she were to ever be elevated to the top of the ticket. Just the lack of political talent, the sheer just like odiousness that comes through in a lot of her interviews will just be hung around the neck. And you saw that with Hillary. That's what happened with Hillary and the Democratic Party. That's kind of what I think would happen here with Kamala. And the story, though, I do think is fascinating because, as you said, people always try. I'm from College Station, Texas. My congressman was Chet Edwards. He represented our county, which at one point had, or our district, which had George W. Bush's ranch, just so people have an idea of how conservative. It was like an R+28 district. He represented it for 20 years. He lost by I think 30-something points in 2010 after winning re-election. And he was beating like every single, like, guys who would run against him. I can't remember his name. He was like, I'm a U.S. Marine. I deployed to Iraq. He'd beat him by like 6 points. It was amazing.
That was probably AOC's fault, right?
Yeah, right.
No, I mean,
this is 2010.
I actually want to make that point, which is that I know that a lot of people want to blame like AOC and Squad for defining Democratic Party in a way that's difficult to overcome in a state like Ohio or another place. But the reality is Democrats lost rural America a decade ago.
Yeah, literally in 2010.
A decade ago. And this is another aside. The guy who was ag secretary at that time, Vilsack, is now ag secretary again, and was, great for big business and agribusiness and monopolies, not so great for small farmers. And I do think that is a small part of why Democrats lost rural America. But the bigger point was people like Pelosi and others within the party who look down their nose at a lot of the country. And I really don't even think it's particularly, and these numbers bear it out, like, it's not even really particularly a policy issue. It's an attitude issue. So you look at someone like Pelosi, who's incredibly wealthy, and as we are going to talk about
you'll see this
in another segment over the weekend, got even more wildly wealthy during her time in office somehow because she's just such a genius at picking stocks, and who feels very distant and very out of touch from the reality that most Americans are facing. You have also, a very clever strategy on the part of Republicans to just focus on the cultural issues where Republicans are more aligned with rural America than Democrats are, and where, by the way, you don't really have to deliver anything. You can just say the right words and signal that you're on the right team, and that's been a very effective strategy on the Republican side, and Democrats, rather than trying to win back voters, Max Alvarez always makes this point, they just look for a new state. They're like, Ohio's gone. Yeah. Good luck, Ohio. We're done with you.
What?
We're moving on to Arizona. Yeah. We're going to pick up Arizona next. So, forget you. We're moving away. Which you've still got Sherrod Brown representing the state. Like, clearly some Democrat can still win in the state. Can Tim Ryan still win in the state of Ohio? No, he cannot.
Yeah, I don't think so. And this is funny. This is what they called out in the ad. In the entire 3 minutes of this ad, Tim Ryan never says the word, I am a Democrat running for the Senate in the state of Ohio, which Trump won by about 8 points. Just look at this. I mean, it could be a Republican ad.
No football coach puts a team out on the field without a game plan. And right now, our workers need a game plan. We're competing with countries around the world for jobs. So in my mind, there's nothing more patriotic than investing in our team, our people, our workers. I'm not talking about handouts. I'm talking about being prepared to win. The outer strength of our country is a reflection of the inner strength of our citizens. Come on, Brady.
Is this where Papa Bob used to work?
A place just like this, till he lost his job with thousands of others.
How did they lose their job?
Well, somewhere along the way, something broke. We forgot what made us successful in the first place.
It can't be businesses versus workers. This is a partnership. But that partnership needs to be redefined. We have to cut workers in on the deal. I'll work with anyone to rebuild our economy, but I will never sell out our workers.
Is someone gonna fix it, Dad?
Well, we need to hit the reset button. We need to reimagine the entire thing. We need to invest in the businesses so they can create more jobs for even more workers. We need to step up our training in science and technology so the clean energy jobs come to Ohio today. We need to make huge investments into our public infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our airports, broadband. We can actually revitalize manufacturing, secure U.S. supply chains, and make things here.
Ooh. All right, I will say I'm calling for a moratorium on using your children in ads until we can figure out what the hell is going on.
Complete shutdown
shutdown.
Using kids.
I mean, the kid is cute. I'm more just like,
Yeah, no, this isn't about the
I don't
kid.
like having people use their kids in ads. I think it's weird.
So anyway, bottom line is 3 minutes of cringe there, but nowhere in those 3 minutes of cringe did he layer on the additional cringe that he's a Democrat.
Right, no, but that's important,
the point.
Right? And I mean, you watch that and you're like, man, this could be like a Republican ad, honestly. I mean, outside of the word just clean energy. And look, I don't think it's going to work. I think he's totally going to lose, but it is a good example of kind of like how people are trying to pull this out. Sherrod Brown could teach a lot of people about how to do this, but honestly, the lesson from Sherrod is be legit since like 1997.
That's right.
That's all it is.
Actually stand up for workers. And his whole thing, businesses versus workers, that's not the thing. It's like, well, actually, you do need some adversarial relations there, but that's another story for another day. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.